Is this you spending all your time writing emails and making calls just to barely fill your calendar? Or maybe you spend all day hoping for referrals, yet they rarely come as often as you'd like. The reality is, if you're building a business that doesn't have these automated systems that brings in leads predictably, everything in business is just way harder. So let me share today exactly how you can fix this. Hey guys, it's Lloyd here. In the last 3 years, I've helped around 120 companies automate and systematize their lead gen and sales process. So in that time period, I've learned a ton, and I want to share with you some of the more interesting things that I have learned when it comes to really automating and making sure leads are coming in predictably and by itself, almost an autopilot. And none of the things that I'm going to be sharing with you today, by the way, are based on paid traffic. I know a lot of you are probably doing paid or you're wondering about paid, but just because it's quite risky and it's a little bit expensive, I'm not going to be sharing with you that today. That might come in a different video. So with that being said, the first method, incredibly simple. You just need to automate your sales outreach to your ideal prospect. And the channels that I personally like to use the most for this specific type of outreach is LinkedIn and email. These two channels are super effective for B2B. So if you're running like a SaaS company, an agency, a consulting firm, even like courses or info products can work well with this. Now, when it comes to email, I will say this has been around for quite a long time. I remember making my first email campaigns in 2015. And we were already using some automation tools at that point. But at the time of filming this, which is 7.5 years later, so many people are using email automation that you really do want to be careful and not over automate, because if you're using a ton of copy and paste and it's really obvious that you're just, sending the same message to 1,000 people, people are not going to respond. So you still want to utilize automation here with some personalization. But that being said, when it comes to automating, I really like using Reply.io. It's a tool that allows you to essentially sequence out your email campaign. So for example, let's say you upload a list of prospects, then you can just set up rules where on day 1 they get an email. On day 3, they get another email. On day 9, they get another email. And the cool thing about Reply.io is that you can even utilize SMS and phone calls and WhatsApp as part of the sequence. So imagine you can go multi-channel, email on day 1, SMS on day 2, a call on day 3, and then on day 4 back to an email. So the sky's the limit with this. If you actually want to try it out, I do have a link below in the description box and you can check it out. Now, the other tool that I was mentioning was LinkedIn. I really like the LinkedIn as well. And there's two main reasons why I think LinkedIn stands out apart from email. The first thing is on LinkedIn, you can find the leads without even leaving the platform, because LinkedIn is already a database. You can run searches, you can find VPs of marketings, or you can find companies that are in particular industries, whether it be accounting or finance or whatever. And the other thing that I think is really cool about LinkedIn, which makes it different from email, is that you are able to prospect in the DMs. Now, the DMs is different. It's personal messaging. It's like MSN from back in the day, if you remember that. You're able to have a real dialogue back and forth, where it's not just you send a message and then you wait like 7 hours or even 2 days to get a reply back. That's how email is. Email is like very disjointed and it's not like a flowing conversation. LinkedIn, you can have a real back and forth, and that allows you to ask questions, it allows you to tell stories, it allows you to really get to know someone. And this affords you the ability to not just immediately go for the kill. In fact, I would recommend that with LinkedIn, you aren't just immediately going for a meeting with your first message. You ask questions, you take the time to get to know someone, and only after you've qualified do you make the pitch for them to jump on a call with you. So with that being said, LinkedIn also has some pretty cool automation tools. I personally use Dripify. Dripify is very similar to what Reply does, except instead of using it for email, Dripify is optimizing primarily for LinkedIn. Send out the connection request on day 1, send out the second message as soon as they accept your connection request, and so on and so forth until they reply back. So really awesome tool, and you can check that out in the description box below as well. By the way, I do make a little bit of an affiliate commission with these tools. I actually use these tools, so I trust them. So by all means, if you're interested, you can check them out below. Now, certain platforms are a lot more difficult to automate with just technology. For example, Instagram is pretty notorious for banning users that use bots or third-party softwares. And it's not just social media. Another example is Upwork. I have a lot of friends who are running agencies, and they actually find most of their prospects on Upwork. But their process is they actually have to find an Upwork posting, and then they would have to scrape the email, and then they would need to custom write an email based on what the Upwork posting was about. So there's no single software that can do that. It's a little bit too much of a complicated process. So with any of these processes, which are either too specific and there's no single tool that can automate it, or the social media platform just bans you outright if you're trying to use the technology to automate it. What's better to make this more autopilot is actually just hiring an appointment setter or a sales development person to do some of this stuff. And essentially what you do with an appointment setter or an SDR or a virtual assistant is you just document the process of what needs to happen for the lead to be generated, for the email or the message to be sent, for the meeting to be booked. A standard operating system is what I call it, an SOP. Essentially, if you have this manual, you can just give it to the employee. They can follow it every single day. Maybe for you, if it was taking you 20 to 40 hours a week doing it yourself, you don't need to, because you can just have someone else spend those 20 to 40 hours for you. And if anything, they'll be better at it eventually than you, because that's all they do. Whereas for you, if you're a sales leader, if you're a business owner, you're constantly distracted. You have like other tasks that you gotta worry about. So you can't be fully committed all the way with lead generation on your own. And that's why having someone who's 100% working on that every single day is super beneficial. You can essentially be generating just as many leads as you used to be, but without lifting a single finger. And that way, that finger can go to smash that like button to help me out, since once again, this is a bit of a new channel. So in case you haven't ever hired an SDR or an appointment setter and you wanna learn how, just click on this link above, and we actually have another video that we break down the exact process from A to Z, how you can hire and train a super profitable appointment setter. Now, there is one last method that I do want to share, which I believe can blow the other two out of the water, and that is content. Now, sharing high quality content, whether it be on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook groups, it really does work. But the challenge is the results take quite a long time to arrive. In fact, you might share content for 6 months before you see any ROI at all. But the thing is, if you are willing to put in that work, you can build a brand, and that brand and having a rabid community of followers will make selling going into the future dramatically easier. And with great evergreen content, like the type of content that you're actually seeing right now, you'll be generating leads passively for years to come. And that does feel like you're generating leads in autopilot, which is the entire point of this video. So I'm actually very curious to hear in the comments your preference. Are you more of a technology automation person? Are you more of a delegation person with employees? Or are you more of a content person to build that brand? Whatever it is that you're into, share in the comments below. By the way, I have helped over 120 different companies with automating and improving their sales process. So if you do want some assistance, whether it be with sales teams or building better operations around sales, just book a call with me below. You can actually find that in the description box. I would love to have that conversation, and we can see if there's any way that we can help. But if not, I actually do have this other video here for you, and it's all about the steps that you need to take to scale from 5-figure months to 6-figure months. And naturally, a big part of that is gonna be software, it's gonna be automation, it's gonna be delegation, but check out this video for more information. Cheers.